Hey guys, Dr. Snellgrove here, just recording a quick video for our Essay 3 in Integrated Reading and Writing, the controversial slash argumentative essay. And so today we're focusing on writing the intro for it. And I think I gave you all the song and dance on the previous essay about this, but the good news is that, again, the basic structure of the intro hasn't actually changed any. So what I mean by that is you still need a title that makes the reader curious. You still need a hook that helps get their attention. You still need to provide relevant background information about the subject, and then you still need to have a specific thesis, right? So what this video is going to do is not, talk about those things from the top. You can always review our essay 1 intro video, I believe, if you need that. But instead, what are the best practices for this particular essay using that particular blueprint? So obviously, starting with the title. So one of the things that I emphasized from the beginning is that, we had our little upside down triangle diagram there. So the title and the hook both are about as far from the thesis as they can possibly be. The thesis is the most specific part of the entire essay, right? But the title and the hook are far away from that. So that means you've got freedom to be a little bit creative. And so with the title, one of the things I've always said is, you can have a funny title, a scary title, a dramatic title, something like that. The title, sometimes it's more effective to be mysterious instead of, for instance, trying to just tell us what it is. So for example, I think I've got multiple students, I think this is correct, writing about, kind of basically like there shouldn't be more gun control laws or something. So, you could have a title that's like, we don't need gun control laws. It's like, well, there's nothing wrong with that, except it's kind of boring, right? Or you could have a title, some sort of provocative thing like, should you have the right to protect your family? Something like that, and so there's a couple things that title example has going on for it. One, as I mentioned a moment ago, it's mysterious. It's designed, so God help me, it's a little like making clickbait online. It's a title that is designed to get someone to respond and click like, wait, what? And check it out. And two, and this is something I'm going to talk about when we talk about the hooks as well, it's a title that, not so subtly necessarily tries to get the reader on your side for your eventual argument. So as with previous essays, I think I've used this tired kind of metaphor before, but the idea is you're not necessarily writing for one person like me. You're writing for standard college freshman, student audience. And then it's like, okay, what I need to convince them. I need to lay out as much, evidence as I can, and God willing, get them on board with the argument that I am making. All right, so how can you do that? There's a lot of ways. Normally we think about doing that at the body paragraph level, where we're laying out all our arguments, all our support, stuff like that. And but you can, especially an argumentative essay, you can have a title that makes people, kind of lean in your direction before they even know what you're talking about. So if I'm writing we don't need gun control laws paper, and I have a title like, should you have the right to protect your family? So what am I doing? I'm already recontextualizing the idea of the gun, not as a dangerous tool or not as a dangerous weapon, but as a tool to protect my family, right? So again, it's not super subtle when you realize, what I'm doing with it, but it's like well before a reader would get to my thesis saying we don't need any more gun control laws. I've already got them thinking like the gun is a good thing. So that's just a little food for thought. That's the main thing I wanted you to think about with the title is like, not just can I get the reader's attention with this? That's always important. That's always the job of a title, but can I get the reader's attention while also maybe making them, think more sympathetically about my position, even before they know what the position is. All right. So moving on, the hook, we've talked about this before. The hook and the title are normally a bit of a tag team, I guess you might say. So by that, I mean that like, all right, the title is the thing like on the internet, clickbaity, like you click on it, you get somebody's like, all right, you got me curious. I want to see what this is about. And then they start reading. It's like, are they going to keep reading? Or are they going to smash that back button? And so you got to have a hook, first line, first few lines that secures their attention. We're like, all right, I'm going to keep reading, I guess. All right. So how do you do that exactly with an argumentative essay? All right. So the good news is, as I said before, with the blueprint stuff, most of the old rules, pretty much all the old rules, still apply here. So you can do what do you call it? You can do multiple sentences, like a short paragraph hook if you want. Not too many of you have done this with previous essays. You can actually, do a hypothetical scenario. That sometimes works well to start argumentative papers off. So if I am extending the previous metaphor, if I've got a thesis about how we don't need any more gun control laws, right? If that is my thesis, what am I going to have for a hook? And forgive me, I can't remember if I've mentioned this on video before, but I had a student many years ago that did have this as their thesis. And they were asking me, Dr. Snellgrove, what would your hook be in this particular example? And so what I told them, I was like, honestly, if I was you, I would have started my essay off with something like, imagine violent intruders have broken into your home. They're banging on the bedroom they're banging on the bedroom door as your, wife and child are crying inside. The police are minutes away, and the only way to protect your family might just be that cold hunk of metal by the side of the bed. So what am I doing here? It's almost like cheating when you make a hypothetical scenario, like I'm going to come up with an action movie, dramatic moment here. That definitely gets somebody's attention. And kind of like we talked about with the title, I'm already trying to reposition it as like, hey, this gun is here to keep you safe, to keep your family safe. I'm already trying to change the conversation for readers that might be like, they're dangerous, man. So that's a hypothetical scenario that might work. I've told y'all before that my own preferred brand of my own preferred brand of hooks is usually just a one sentence rhetorical question. All right. And in my own rhetorical questions, I almost always ask the reader, or I almost always use the word you in there. And so that's to give my reader a sense that like they have some skin in this game, right? It's like, so if I was going to do that with this kind of paper, again, if we're keeping that same kind of, there should be no more gun control laws kind of thesis, I might have a question. It's like, should the government, well, you could say do a lot of things. Should the government take away your ability to protect yourself? Or I might do something like, what if the government decided they didn't care whether you lived or died? And then I'd follow it up. That might sound dramatic, but with the increased amount of gun control laws, that's exactly what's happening. So something like that. So you'll see, I don't want to gild the lily too much, but the title and the hook, in a perfect world, they're mysterious enough that makes the reader go, wait, what? I kind of want to know more about this. And they also help recontextualize the topic. Because you pick a controversial topic, you have to imagine like upwards of half of your readers are going to disagree with you. So it's like, all right, from the beginning, from the title, from the hook, I'm trying to find new ways to make them think positively about something that they might have thought negatively about, or at least been, ambivalent about before. All right, so now we get to the more straightforward stuff. So again, when we do the little upside down triangle thing, I always have, two levels of background information. And so here, the first, and I'm being a little vague here, a little mysterious myself, because you get to pick your own topics. I don't, I can't say the one thing that you need to do because everyone's got different topics, but this would be where you would give us any like relevant information about the topic that you're writing about. Basically, like not everything about it, but what does a reader need to know in order to understand your argument, right? So if I'm running with this metaphor, or I'm running with this example, I guess, if my thesis is going to be like, hey, we don't need any more gun control laws, I need to, at bare minimum, mention some gun control laws, right? And that sounds like a no-duh thing as I say that loud, but I've gotten so many papers over the years where students are like, we need to keep them from banning our guns. I'm like, well, what's the ban? What? Who's banning the guns? Well, them. Who's doing it? They. I'm like, okay, we're playing a weird pronoun game here. And so it's like, all right, you bring up, it's not hard to do. There's lots of websites have collected this info for you, but like, are there some scary examples you can bring up? I think in one of my other classes, I've got someone writing about a current ban in like Maryland's Montgomery County. It's like, hey, you can't have a gun in these areas, like in the city, or at least in most of the city. And a lot of people, like even folks that are normally pro gun control, are like, wait a minute, that just sounds like a ban by a different name. So you could bring up stuff like that. And it's like, why is it important? It's not just stretching the intro out, although that is also important, but you are priming your reader. If they don't think, you got to imagine some of the people that are on the fence about this topic are going to be like, I don't know. I didn't think gun control was so bad. It's just stuff like smaller magazines or whatever. And so you can bring the receipts, like, okay, what are some, previous legislation or proposed legislation that can kind of scare my reader into agreeing with me. And this applies to almost anything, by the way. If you're writing about legalizing marijuana, this might be a section where you talk about the other states that have legalized, how long legalized marijuana has been around. Just what kind of background info do you think the reader actually needs to know in order to appreciate your argument? Now, it's not a requirement of this essay. I mean, the research is a requirement. Putting it in the intro is not a requirement, but I do sometimes tell students that you might want to put some scary stats in your intro, which is exactly that. So, like, if you have a stance like we need to do something about an issue that you see as a problem, like a major problem, then you can use your research and bring in like, hey, how many people have died because of this, or how much money have we spent, trying to fight this? And it has the same effect. It's like, all right, I want to inform my reader, but I'm also, I will cherry pick some scary stats, to get them on board. Like if somebody was writing the opposite of this, right? If they were writing, we need more gun control, kind of thesis, they'd probably have scary stats about like how many school shootings, how many, acts of violence involving firearms, et cetera, et cetera. You get the idea. All right. So I mentioned how there's two background levels of info. My brain was really about to give you the Yoda always two there are. I think I haven't gotten enough sleep last night. But what do you do in the second level of background info? Well, here's some good news. It could be as little as one sentence, because the main thing you would do in the second level of background info for this essay is tell us what the different sides of this controversial topic are. And so it's like, you don't have to frame it exactly like this, but it's basically some people believe X, other people believe Y. So if you are writing the anti-gun control paper, right, you could have as little as one sentence where you say something like, some people believe that strict gun control laws are a way of reducing violence from firearms, while others believe that increased gun control will actually make it easier for criminals to attack those without guns. Right? That's a real quick, some people believe X, other people believe Y. And this all leads to the tippy tip of the triangle, which is the thesis, where you argue like, hey, there should be no additional firearm legislation, or we should end all, current and future firearm legislation, however you want to frame it. But that's it in a nutshell, right? The title, that makes the reader curious and maybe makes them sympathetic towards your topic, the hook that secures their attention and also hopefully recontextualizes things, makes them sympathetic to your topic, surface level background info with any background we need in, key terms, background, a lot of times you're basically just working your way backwards from the thesis. If I'm arguing about gun control laws, I need to mention some gun control laws. If I'm arguing for legalizing marijuana, I should mention places where marijuana has been legalized. You can put scary stats in if you want to, if it's appropriate. Second level background info, like I said, some people believe X, other people believe Y, and then the thesis telling us exactly what you want to happen regarding this controversial stance. Whew, that's about it. Y'all know the deal. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Feel free to text me at 863-835-2399, and you have a good one. Bye.